So this is lesson 4.5, elementary algebra, the problem sets. Just look at some of those that we have there. 1 through 10, you're just using the distributive property to multiply those first terms times everything inside. So let's look at one like 10, 6xy cubed times. And we have a whole bunch of stuff here. Okay, so we're just going to distribute that by everything there. So 6xy cubed times 2x squared, these two right there being multiplied. 6 times 2 is 12. I have 1x there and I have 2 over there, and remember when you multiply you add the exponents. And I don't have any y to multiply by, so that y cubed stays by itself. Now let's take this times that. So it's plus 6 times 5 is 30. X times x is x squared. A y cubed times a y to the first is y to the 3 plus 1 is 4. And let's do this one and this one, and we'll be done with that. 6 times 12 is 72. I don't have anything to multiply the x by. Y cubed times y squared is y to the 3 plus 2 is 5. And I look and see if there's anything, any like terms there to multiply. And I notice I have an x cubed, but I don't have any other x cubes. Y cubed, no, okay, nothing similar there, so that ends up being the long drawn out answer for number 10. Alright, so if you look at 11 through, 38, you're using the FOIL method. And let's look particularly at number 16 right now, because sometimes these doggone fractions make your life a little hard, but we're multiplying, so that should make it a little bit easier. FOIL says first two terms are first two terms are multiplied, and then it says the outside ones, this one and that one. Well, 2/5 times x is 2/5 x. You just stick them together because one's a number, one's a letter. Inside, 3/5 times x. And last, 3/5 times 2/5 is multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. Okay, notice these both just have x's, so I can add those. In this case, we have a common denominator of 5. If we did not have a common denominator, we would have to make common denominators and then add them. So, since I already have common denominators, I can just add the 2 plus 3 and get 5. Remember, your denominator does not change. And 5 over 5 is just 1, so that can go away. And we end up with x squared plus x plus 6 over 25. Alright, so the rest of them just use the FOIL method, and you should be good there. And numbers 39 through 42. Don't worry about the little boxes. Ignore the boxes. Just do the FOIL method to get the answer there. The boxes can make life more confusing. 43 through 50. Again, you're multiplying. Let's look at 50 real quick. So there's number 50 written in the column method. And we do this the same way that I explained earlier. 1 times 3 is 3. Put the sign there. X times 3 is 3x, put the sign there. Those multiplied give you 6x squared. Alright, next we're going to go this, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do that. So negative 4x times 1 is negative 4x. X times negative 4x is negative 4x squared. 2x squared times negative 4x is negative 8x cubed. Okay, last we're going to multiply those, and those. So x squared times positive 1 is going to be positive 1x squared. Let's put the 1 there. These two is going to give me x cubed, and that'll be positive. And these two is going to give me positive 2x to the fourth. And then I add 3. Notice that my like terms are on top of each other, and that's exactly what I like. Then I add these. 6 minus 4 is 2, plus 1 is 3, and it's a plus. This one, negative 8x cubed plus x cubed would be negative 7x cubed. Nothing to add to that. And there is my answer. And when you do the column method, you'll notice that there's no like terms to combine here because we did all the combining up here in this part. So nothing, that should be your final answer. There shouldn't be anything to combine, and your answer is going to be in the right order: 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So that's kind of the handy thing about the column method. Alright, 57 to 70. Again, you're just doing FOIL method, but notice at the end there is a number or two there. So for instance, 60, let's look at 61. We've got x plus 4 times x minus 5, and then it has a plus negative 5 times 2. So you're going to do the FOIL method there, and then you're going to have a plus a negative 10 there that you're going to add to anything that has just a number and no variable. So for instance, when we do the FOIL method here, we're going to have x squared minus 5x plus 4x minus 20, and then we're going to have our plus negative 10 here. So we're going to combine those. Sorry, I'm going so fast here. You should be able to just slow me down if you need to, but you should already know how to do all this. So here's my FOIL, but I can combine those two and get an answer like that. Okay? And when you're given something like 66, we're doing a whole bunch of things at once. So let's do the distributive. Minus 8x minus 3x squared minus 12, plus 12x. Negative times negative is a positive. Alright, now I'm going to look and see what I can combine. I can combine that and that since they both have x squareds. So 4 minus 3 is 1. So those are done. And then a negative 8x plus a 12x is going to be 4x. So I'm going to get x squared plus 4x. Alright, so let's see, 71 through 74, just doing the FOIL method or distributive. 75 to 84. It says if the product of two expressions is 0, then one or both of the expressions must be 0. So if we have 5 and an x here, if we're going to make this equal to 0, then this x has to be 0 because any number times 0 is going to be 0. If I had something like one of the other problems they have here, x minus 3 or x plus 2, and I were to say those were going to be 0, well, that means that one of these has to equal 0 so that when I multiply it by the other, I get 0, because the only way you can get 0 for an answer is if one of the numbers you're multiplying is equal to 0. So let's say that I make this 0. What does x have to be in order to make that 0? X has to be 3, right? Because 3 minus 3 is 0. So if x is 3, it would be 3 minus 3 times 3 plus 2. So this would be 0, and this would be 5, and any number times 0 is going to be 0. So that works. Now let's look at the other side. What does the x need to be in here in order to make that 0? X needs to be negative 2, because a negative number added to its opposite is going to give me 0. So if I did that, I'd have negative 2 minus 3 times negative 2 plus 2. So that gives me 0. And I don't care what this number is, because no matter what it is, when I multiply it by 0, I'm going to get 0. So in order for me to make this a true statement right here, in order to make that equal to 0, x has to be 3 or x has to be negative 2. Doesn't really matter which one. It has to be one or the other. So that's what they're asking you to do for 75 to 84, is find out what value you need x to be in order that you multiply those things together, like we just did here, to get 0. And that should be it for problem set 4.5.